I'm headstrong, at peace with myself like Islam. That's a very famous lyric from the song Still Shining by the rap duo Mobb Deep from their second album Hell on Earth in 1996. So the lyrics by the MC Prodigy, who passed away a few years ago as well. Now, the point in introducing this is, have you ever wondered why there is so much imagery and allusion and reference to Islam, Arabic, and the Muslim world in hip-hop from the 90s and late 80s? Indeed, it is true that a lot of the practitioners of hip-hop were Muslim or adjacent to Muslims, and definitely were surrounded by people in this community. But I want to explore something deeper in this video essay. We need to dig into the roots of why it is so pervasive. And over this next hour-ish, I'll take you on a journey through space and time in the urban landscape of New York and Toronto and beyond to talk about this. Now, when you think of the Muslim world or the Middle East, what kind of imagery comes to mind? For most people, it's going to be some of this desert landscape, mosques, Middle Eastern architecture that looks like ancient Arabic civilization. But do you ever think of this? Do you ever think of African landscape? What about an urban landscape or graffiti? The Muslim world is not just the Middle East. The Muslim world is everywhere. It's a population of almost 2 billion people. And they've traveled all corners of the world and settled in any place you could think of. It's truly a remarkable phenomenon that anywhere you go now, you can find a Muslim community. And they're all pretty welcoming. I don't think Muslim communities will shun outsiders, especially diasporic ones. Moreover, do you think of hip-hop? Or do you think of refugee camps that are kind of like concentration camps or prisons, where there are people making hip-hop music to try to make the best of whatever they are going through?
انا طالع الليل مصلي بس بكره شكلي مسكر قدامي عالم طفل بس لسه شايف الدنيا بتضحك لي اسمع مني فيش حدا فيكو احسن مني يوم معاك والباقي كله ما احلاك من وراك دايما بتلاقي الخازوق اتاك ما انت شفت.
Well, it ain't no, well, as far as PLO style of philosophy mobbing, it wasn't no philosophy. It was just some niggas around the way. We used to go to a store where a lot of them motherfuckers, they own this store around our way, PLO store, you know, and they used to have pictures up of them when they was little kids holding AKs and shit like that. Niggas respected that. The same way Wu-Tang respected how the Kung Fu dudes was doing their thing and shit, we respected how the PLOs got down, and niggas started calling themselves PLOs, you know? They freedom fighters, and we felt like we was fighting for our freedom every day too, where we lived at. Yeah.
So indeed, it is true. There was admiration by some members of the hip-hop community, such as Method Man. And there's a sort of reverse admiration by people from this community, such as Noor, the boy from Shuat refugee camp, recorded by Figa Braclavich in that Instagram story shown before, of hip-hop and its roots, and the way it, as an art form, at least in its early stages, showed people around the world that, listen, you know, we're American. We're in the West. We're in the civilized world. We're not doing this for show business like Hollywood. We're doing this for you. We're doing this with you. We're all in it together. We're fighting for our freedom together. And we admire your struggle because we know you admire our struggle. And we can see that even in places like the West Bank and Gaza, other areas in the Muslim world, as you'll see as we progress, that this goes deeper than just music and art and revolutionary freedom fighting. This is a ages-old struggle and union and tradition. It's no secret that Muslims have not had a fair time in North America. They've been demonized, they've been misunderstood, and they've been otherized constantly and continuously. Furthermore, the Muslim struggle is very akin to the black struggle. And if anything, there is a black Muslim struggle as well. And we can only imagine the marginalization that this community would end up facing due to the intersection of these two minority groups in one person. So, with this in mind, let's explore where this all starts and how this is related to hip-hop. So now we come to a very contentious question. A question asked by Western leaders quite often and talked about on the news and in journals and in academia. Why do they hate us? Well, we could either go into odd sorts of talking points and Orientalist views, all sorts of speculation. We can repeat propaganda and say it's because of our freedom or something, or they want to convert us all into Muslims to make a worldwide caliphate. And while some rare instances of these talking points may be true, extremes exist everywhere in a world of almost 8 billion people now. But we could also go into the documentary record of the United States of America State Department, or the declassified record. This has been talked about at great lengths by academics and historians such as Noam Chomsky. Even the Wall Street Journal has talked about this. Why do they hate us? Well, in the 50s, Dwight D. Eisenhower, the President of the United States, asked this question around the time of the Suez Crisis. Arab nationalism was a big movement during this time. This is when Gamal Abdel Nasser tried to nationalize the Suez Canal. This caused a lot of beef in the West and the Arab world. Well, there was a report that was commissioned by the State Department, and it came back to answer Eisenhower's question, why do they hate us? And the general findings were, they hate us because we interfere in their countries, we install despotic regimes that are a barrier to democracy, and we do this to capture resources. And we do this because it is right to do this, because we must do this to secure our country. I don't know about you, but that just sounds like standard colonialism, and it sounds antithetical to a free world and a free society and a civilized society. This has led to a long tradition in political science and social sciences and adjacent fields. There's books about this, papers about this. The term clash of civilizations. The idea that we are not compatible with the Arab world. That there is a certain number of civilizations in the world that are just not ever going to get along. Instead, it's the barbarians versus the civilized people. The West versus the others. The East, the South, the Muslim world, the Western world. Whatever labels we want to put on this. I think the world is more complex than phrenology about its geographical regions. We should call this what it is. It is racism. And we should also point out that Samuel P. Huntington, the originator of this political theory, his books are read everywhere, taught in schools across the world. Whether you're in Pakistan or United States or Australia, you will come across this figure and learn his works at some point. Now, he himself is a very powerful person, the founder of the magazine Foreign Policy, and the lead editor for it for many years, and also a professor at Harvard University. This isn't going to be a focus on Samuel P. Huntington, but I think it's important that we provide this context into the thought leaders of our civilization before going further. So now we get to our main topic, to our question, the focus of this episode. What is the role hip-hop plays in Muslim representation, particularly in the context of Black and Palestinian solidarity? We will travel to many places throughout space and time to answer this question and to look for answers. Our focus will be on hip-hop created between the years of 1988 and 1998. However, the context we offer and clarifications we provide will stretch beyond and beyond. Because if we really want to understand this, we must do this. Our first stop is a key definition and a very, very important figure in North American history. Edward Said coined the term Orientalism, formalized it as a professor at the University of Columbia in this very, very famous book that I recommend everyone should read. A lot of the work here is inspired by this book and takes ideas from it. So, Orientalism is basically the concept of otherizing and trivializing the cultures and the practices and customs of, well, the Orient, which is a derogatory term for the East, the Eastern world, for the Middle East, for Asia, for a huge continent, the biggest continent in the world, a very diverse place. It's this sort of monolithic representation of how everyone there is by Western imperialism, whether that's the aristocratic feudalism of pre-capitalist times, or it's the corporate capitalist modern-day representation of Western imperialism. Regardless, it's still the same core phenomenon, and it seeks to destroy cultures, kill people in the name of dollars, and sell this with propaganda to the home side. The painting you see here is from an unknown artist, but Orientalist painting is even considered a genre in the arts, and it's like a legitimate form of painting style. But to a lot of people, this is offensive because it shows the portrayal of black and brown people from the Eastern Hemisphere as different, unproductive, savage, uneducated, illiterate, negative things. So I think it's important we define this first before moving forward, because I don't think the people from the other side of the world are like this by nature. They are people just like people from anywhere else in the world. And we will see that now over the course of some clips I have compiled over the next couple of minutes from key historic figures.
It does seem that the civil war, has been quite fruitless.
It's not a civil war. It's a people defending themselves against a fascist government, which you are defending. It's not a civil war.
Well, the conflict...
It's not a conflict. It's a liberation movement fighting for justice.
Well, whatever it might be best called...
It's not whatever, because this is where the problems start. This is a people who is discriminated, is fighting for his rights. This is the story.
Why won't your organization engage in peace talks with the Israelis?
You don't mean exactly peace talks. You mean capitulation, surrendering.
Why not just talk?
Talk to whom?
Talk to the Israeli leaders.
That's kind of conversation between the sword and the neck, you mean?
Well, if there were no swords and no guns in the room, you could still talk.
No, I had never seen any talk between a colonialist case and a national liberation movement.
But despite this, why not talk?
Talk about what?
Talk about the possibility of not fighting.
Not fighting for what?
Not fighting at all, no matter what for.
Yeah, and people usually fight for something and they stop fighting for something. So you can't tell me even why should we speak about what?
Well, stop fighting.
For what? Or talk about stop fighting, why?
Talk to stop fighting, to stop the death and the misery, the destruction, the pain.
The misery and the destruction and the pain and the death of whom?
Of Palestinians, of Israelis, of Arabs.
Of the Palestinian people who are uprooted, thrown in the camps, living in starvation, killed for 20 years, and forbidden to use even the name Palestinians.
They're better that way than dead, though.
Maybe to you, but to us, it's not. To us, to liberate our country, to have dignity, to have respect, to have our mere human rights, is something as essential as life.
You are forgetting completely this organized terrorism, even in the United Nations, Security Council. You refuse to condemn this barbarian attack on the South, but you bless it. And you said that we accept the raid, but it was a little bit more than required. I have to ask those who used to speak about human rights. Where is this human rights there in the South? Did you see the picture there? Our camps, Lebanese villages who had been smashed completely, some of these villages had been smashed with Phantom, with Skyhawk, with Mirage, with F-15, with Cancer bomb, with Lance rocket, with the Navy. Civilian
as
war,
far as Yasser Arafat is concerned, I explained to Mr. Sigmund that we identify with the PLO because just like ourselves, they are fighting for the right of self-determination.
It's clear that the solidarity is real, and several leaders and revered figures in history, and some not so revered, have expressed this and have expressed similar concerns for their own communities, for the struggles that they face, and for the lack of justice, the lack of recognition of their suffering, the lack of agency to provide easing to that suffering. This is replicated where you have graffiti being used across the third world now. It has moved from the project in New York and Toronto to the wall in the West Bank, to the slums in Gaza. They show solidarity with George Floyd and the killing. They make fun of Donald Trump as a tin pot leader with no real ideology. Okay, so let's explore the hip-hop. Let's do the math. Let's see what we can discover. Let's analyze some lyrics. Let's listen to some music. Let's learn about the context. So what you're hearing right now is the instrumental for the song Paid in Full by Eric B. and Rakim. Rakim was one of the first openly Muslim artists in the hip-hop genre. And up next, Big Daddy Kane.
I put my title in your face, dare you to face it. If you try to come get it, yo, I'ma show you who's with it. So if you know like I know, instead of messing around, play like Roy Rogers and slow down. Just give yourself a break, or someone else will take your title. Namely me, because I'm homicidal. That means murder. You sound like the herder, another MC. They try to get with me, I'll just break them and make them and break them and take them and mold them and make them hold up the peace sign. Assalamu alaikum.
Now, let's focus on the final words, the final phrase said right there. This isn't a very conscious song. It's a bit braggadocious and battle rap song, very competitive, MC on MC combat. But it says right at the end, hold up the peace sign, Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum means peace be upon you in Arabic, and it's said by Muslims to greet and say goodbye. Its direct translation is peace be upon you, but its more sort of contextual translation is may you be safe until the next time I see you, and I hope that all has been well since the last time I saw you. So, it might not have been said too often in show business or entertainment before this. And this is a very, very big song. It was very popular, very famous. And this being said on the radio and everyone repeating it, it's definitely a good way to introduce everyone to a different culture and its sayings. And the word peace has become ubiquitous now. It's everywhere. You can hear it in almost any urban center you go to. People will greet each other and say, peace. Peace, y'all. Peace out. And again, this just shows that the clash of civilizations may not be the clash of civilizations, and that when the cultures do mix at the grassroots level, they can mix very well. And people enjoy it. People love it. So we've gone pretty deep, and we can go even deeper. Some might even say too deep.
Too deep, I'm too deep, I'm too deep, I'm too deep. I forgive you, psych, I'm taking your life. Cause you continue to disrespect, so I'ma get trife. But then again, I think I'll spare you. Cause I know that all it takes is one rhyme just to scare you. See, I'm the holder of the key. Don't ask me if I'm Muslim, don't say nothing to me. I said I was raised like one son, I had two cousins. They pushed me to find myself or else they knew I wasn't gonna make it. And then end up a statistic. My life was twisted. I almost missed it, the chance. Yes, a chance to make you feel good. I used to steal goods and fake my parents out real good. But now I got KNOWLEDGE of self, cause I'm me. And the Nation of Islam has my support, cause they try to re-educate ones who I lost. And the 5% nation takes other steps to get through to the brothers on the corners with the reps and in the prisons, giving the brothers new visions of how we can gain wealth and gain self-esteem and dream of a total different scene. I dress clean, stand lean, say what I mean, and I'm out like a scout on a new route, exhibiting clout. I never sleep, I always beat rhymes creep. I'm too deep, I'm too deep, I'm too deep. But right now, yo, my religion is rhyming, perfect timing. Test the flow, then climbing. Ansar, Sunnite, Shiite, Jihad, all must regard, the times are hard. Unite or perish is the message that I cherish. That goes for my people of all religions. If we're all black, why have so many divisions? Superficial factors are driving us apart. Don't let it happen. Let's put some respect back in. So before I act, I think, cause it's the brink of destruction. World corruption, what's up, son? Your gun is just one, and I just might have one or two, or maybe even 3 or 4, plus an army of about 100 or more. But violence is never my first choice. I come in peace to release the effect of my voice. I never sleep, I always beat rhymes creep. I'm too deep, I'm too deep, I'm too deep.
So a lot going on there, a lot to process. Now the MC in the song, Guru, from Gangstar, the group, he's passed away. He said, don't ask me if I'm Muslim. Don't say nothing to me. Hinting that that's how he was raised, but he's not actively practicing it right now, and that he respects the faith. He respects the people practicing it, respects what some of them do in prisons, helping people find a better way, helping them get away from some mistakes they may have made. So the trope of the black criminal comes into play here now. And then he goes on to talk about sectarian violence by mentioning Sunni and Shia as key words. Very rare mentions of those words in this era, I might add. So, mentioning all of this, it's important to note now that in the prison system in America, yes, black people are overly criminalized. This is a sad reality. But there is also an element of Muslims in the prison system, and black Muslims as well. And the government of America was actually very worried about this. The phenomenon of people converting to Islam in jail is very scary to some leaders, especially in a post 9/11 world, let alone a pre 9/11 world. And I'd like to finish off this little part by saying some of the first exposure to famous Muslims that America has is probably Muhammad Ali and Malcolm X of the Nation of Islam. These are two very, very famous figures around the world, but also very, very famous in America for activism and dissidence that they portrayed in the country. Now, moving forward, let us take a look at the PLO style.
Your head rush, fly like like Egyptian musk. Ah, shit, Wu-Tang Clan sparked the Wixen. However, I mastered a trick just like Nixon. Causing terror, quick damage your whole era. Hard rocks is locked the fuck up, I found shot. PLO style, hazardous, cause I wreck this dangerous. I blow spots like Waco.
That insane nigga from the psycho ward. I'm on the trigger, plus I got the Wu-Tang sword. So how you figure that you can even fuck with Mars? Hey, yo, Rizza, hit me with that shit one time and pull a foul. Niggas say the beef for the cow. I'm milking this hoe, this is my show to cow. The fuck you wanna do? Boy, this mic beats do. I'm like a sniper, hyper off the ginseng root. PLO style, Buddha monks with the L. And who's the fucking man met the cow?
Yeah, no doubt, Green Eyes, one love.
PLO style, Buddha monks with the L. PLO style, Buddha monks with the L. PLO style, Buddha monks with the L. PLO style.
So the PLO style. What is the PLO? Well, the PLO is the Palestinian Liberation Organization, founded in the 60s, led by Yasser Arafat, Nobel Peace Prize winner for signing the Oslo Accords in 1993. However, the roots of hip-hop, which one of them you can say is the Black Panther Party and the Black Panther movement, they have very close ties to the PLO. They met and spoke extensively throughout the 60s and 70s. Here they are right now, the Pan-African Conference in Tangiers, Algeria, in 1969. Many Pan-African and black nationalist leaders, such as Kwame Ture, Huey P. Newton, Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, met with and visited regions in the Arab and Muslim world that were greatly oppressed. They offered solidarity and even material support. Now, these are all very marginalized communities, poor people. No one really has much. But what little they did have and what little political will they had, they shared it amongst each others. And these are the roots of hip-hop. These are the people that hip-hop artists in the 80s and 90s take inspiration from. These are the people that get mentioned regularly in hip-hop as people fighting for their freedom, fighting colonial forces, fighting for the struggle against powers that prevent them from self-determination. And as we can see, we continue on. The modern version of this is present and visible. There are murals, still to this day, graffiti being painted in places like Jerusalem, Idlib, Syria. But now, let's journey to another city, to Toronto.
Socrates, y'all. Pharaoh March 13. Pharaoh March, y'all. Socrates, that feel on this shit right here. What? Yo, my nigga too rude, y'all. Rudimental. Y'all niggas couldn't fuck with this. Let them know. I'm roaming one man deep, combing the streets and beatboxing like the Phil niggas singing hymns, picking cotton. With massive watching, tickle eardrums with pleasure. Every single measure apply, exact amount of pressure. A chemical reaction happened, but was fastened by the spit ration for its catalytic fashion, showing his passion for harassing microphones. Passion to the left, I let my nigga Pharaoh blast.
My very last breath to be Allahu Akbar for narcotic cops that mark me inside of the shark bar. Spiritual sparks, the lyrical darts of depth of visual. One nation under this rap shit indivisible. Never miserable anymore. A pharaoh that critically acclaimed rap professional. Keep it computer digital, but hard to best beat. This expert who can keep niggas alert in the school for narcolepsy.
Know the time it takes, yes sir. For every rhyme to shine in the vein, come on. Yeah, don't ever underestimate. Most niggas come fake, but we cutting the red tape.
Now, in the song you just heard, right in the beginning, the first rapper, MC Socrates from Toronto, mentions some key Key references, talking about people in the fields picking cotton, singing hymns, and then goes on to say some very, very scientific terminology talking about catalysts and chemical reactions. Great knowledge being imparted. Now, this is directly related to practice in the African American slave history. People in this community would engage in what is called spirituals, African American spirituals, some call them. This is basically when a group of people get together and express themselves poetically, impart wisdom to the young generation, try to craft new ways, clever ways to say stuff, try to entertain each other, try to advance their learning and wisdom, and better the human condition. Moreover, poetry was commonly used by slaves. It was used as a means to code their language. It was used in writing. It was used to not be surveilled and detected by overseers and masters, to be able to talk freely. Then when the verse switches over to Pharaoh Monch from New York, he comes in very strongly, saying, I want my last words to be Allahu Akbar, that God is great. It's a common thing said by Muslims. Muslims say it in prayer. Muslims say it when they witness something beautiful or spectacular. On and on. In pre-Islamic society and in Islamic society, poetry is very common. The Quran is written in complete poetry. It rhymes endlessly. And there are many, many competitions on how to recite it. Many people have found it very beautiful when recited and have actually converted based on just hearing the recitation. In pre-Islamic Arabia, there was a lot of poetry as well. And competitions, battles, a lot of stuff like that. Now, some would say that hip-hop is truly unique, and the practice of poetry and music and getting together in a circle and reciting poetry and showing off what one can do is not the same as hip-hop. Now, hip-hop is unique because of the other elements in it. However, the closest thing to modern hip-hop is the African and Middle Eastern indigenous communities and what they engaged in. One could argue that hieroglyphics and Arabic calligraphy are akin to graffiti. Moreover, many African slaves from the transatlantic slave trade were Muslim. For example, Umar bin Said, the book Black Roots to Islam by Manning Marable, writes about this slave who was in a plantation near North Carolina. There's even a mosque near there named after him now. He would try to write a letter back to his brother or his friends. And said he forgot the language, forgetting the language, forgetting his past, forgetting his culture. It's being ethnically cleansed from him, one could argue. It's a very sad story, but this is history. This is what happened. It's not easy sometimes. Moreover, the golden age of hip-hop is confirmed by many authors to be influenced heavily by Islam, and that the artists were expressing the Islamic canon in the songs, and they're embracing it, and that blackness and Islam go together. And then finally, I want to conclude this little foray by saying that there are two tropes that are convergent: the black criminal and the Muslim terrorist. And that their demonization is a unity for white supremacy and American hegemony. That nationalism in America gets united over demonizing these two groups with these two tropes. And that one of the only ways forward to fight back against this is to realize that blackness and Islam go hand in hand together. And that an internationalist movement that unites Africa and the Muslim third world is one of the key ways that these injustices can be reversed and defeated once and for all. Now moving on, let's take a look at the refugees.
Who would think that your best friend would be your worst enemy and your enemy your best friend? Stare into the air, inspiration from the atmosphere. I think of old ghosts that ain't even here, like Alex Haley. Take notes of this biography. My family tree consists of street refugees, a ghetto land where we talk slang. Stolen cars bang like my chitty bang, bang, shebang, featherhead. We ain't selling cocaine today, so refrain and let my family reign, okay?
Just walking the streets, death could take you away. It's never guaranteed that you'll see the next day. At night, the evil armies of Shaitan don't play. So defend the family, that's the code to obey.
But if I fall asleep and death takes me away, don't be surprised, son, I wasn't put here to stay at night. The evil army of Shaitan don't play. So the family sticks together and we never betray.
Yo, 52 pickups, no cops around. 52,000 in cash, I don't want no saving points. Have the money ready, I smell something fishy. Your wife's in my custody, once for a smoke, you find a body in the seat. That's the voice of the kid, that's the kidnapper. I do my work and then I catch my ticket to Jamaica. Meet me in the alley, make sure you bring the money. This ain't the 70s, I'm far from a jive
My
turkey.
circle, it can't be broken. Open cut, no provoking. Racket, promoting, token, choking on their words like smoking. Cause we soft spoken. Doesn't mean that we forgotten. Your booty smell rotten. And one day you will be gotten. See, jokers is scatterbrained. They focus is unrestrained. My army is trained. You never find us beefing in vain. Cause I seen fire and I seen rain. You claim fame while modest niggas remain. I can judge a character like Edo judge a verdict. And if you bring it threats, I give you sex if I ain't heard it. See, poppin' shit's about your attitude and how you word it. I seen the biggest niggas on the blocks get murdered, and they deserved it. Or so the B said when they served it. That shit is nervous. So what's my purpose, family? We must preserve it. Your numbers retired. I hope you like the hellfire. You been screaming murder. She wrote like Shaka Demons and
Just walking the streets, death could take you away. It's never guaranteed that you'll see the next day. At night, the evil armies of Shaitan don't play. So defend the family, that's the code to obey.
If I should fall asleep and death take me away, don't be surprised, son, I wasn't put here to stay. At night, the evil armies of Shaitan don't play. So the family stick together and we never be.
Now, a lot to unpack there too. So first and foremost, the mention of Alex Haley, take roots of his biography, right in the beginning, when Wyclef Jean says that. So, in the book The Roots, Alex Haley writes about experience of a black slave, Muslim origins, whatnot. But let's examine the chorus of this song. Just walk in the streets, death could take you away. It's never guaranteed that you'll see the next day. At night, the evil armies of Shaitan don't play. So defend the family, that's the code to obey. It's a very, very Muslim-esque way to speak. The next day is not guaranteed when you walk the streets. You can die at any moment. Muslims are taught to live life like any day could be their last, and that Judgment Day could happen any day. Judgment Day being the rapture. Now also, let's say Shaitan. Now that's the Arabic word for Satan, for the devil. And the evil armies of Shaitan. Dark forces that are working to harm people. Whether it be police. Whether it be lynch mobs. Whether it be gangs, criminals, whatever. The point is, you have to stick together. You have to help each other in solidarity. It's the only way you can fight evil. Now, moving forward, let's see what happens when people throw rocks.
Indonesia, China wide, Uncle head topic, ate the line. Take me exhilarating. I accuse you of nigga hating and exploitating for profits making. Don't cop a bleed cause I'm B-double-O-T from the C-O-U the B. I feel my epidermis satisfying just before a skirmish. If you want green like Carmen, keep it heated like a thermos. Aspire to be famous, putting fire in their hands. Made the ruling class haters more than child support payments. To Rosemary's baby, shady. Listen in your gumbo and they tell you it's alright. You can't trust the big grip and the smile. And I slay rhymes for Palestinian style. Now there's a rumble in the jungle, never mumble, though I'm humble. Couple rappers took a tumble, but my folks don't want to rumble. Who's pimping your bundle? I fly like Chuck Grundle. If you're snitching to Columbo, we gon' drop you like a fumble. Now what you make is 0.1% of what the balls making. What the balls take is keeping us from living great. If this ain't straight, you think you wanna sit down in the car shit, you better have a crew to help you shut down this estate. Don't get frustrated, just combobulate. Don't stand in the bait and get a mob and take it till then it's food stamps. Vouch, we'll just smell a couch. Overturn garbage cans with no eyes and grouches. Making money selling plastic pouches. As Mystical would say, my flowers covered with pouches. Absolutely, positively can't do without it. The shipment is delivered, come and get it.
There's a key lyric that came in there. Boots Riley says, slang rocks, but Palestinian style. Basically saying that just like the people fighting for their freedom in the Muslim world, in the Arab world, it's what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to sell drugs. I'm not trying to do unproductive things. I'm not trying to go down the wrong path. I'm trying to be smart and wise. I'm trying to fight for what's right, for what's real. I'm trying to show solidarity. And there's some other underpinnings in there as well. A very anti-capitalist sort of message about bosses and workplaces in North America. But there's one very, very important parallel to draw here, is that people in Palestine, as a sign of resistance, children usually, frustrated children, orphans, people who've seen wars multiple times before reaching adulthood. Out of their frustration, they throw rocks as a sign of defiance against their occupation. And for this, they get demonized with harsh jail sentences and military courts with high conviction rates. Unfair criminal justice system, a criminal injustice system, much like the criminal injustice system in America, where people who sell crack cocaine were sentenced disparately. And these people happen to be black more often than not. Whereas people who sold powder cocaine had less harsh sentences. The parallels here are that certain groups, minority groups, have it much worse. They have a very unfair targeting by their occupiers and colonizers. And that hip-hop is one of the few avenues that brings awareness and attention to this for the youth and the masses. To finish off, we've went through a lot of stuff, explored a lot of ideas, examined history, looked at key moments in geopolitics, looked at some domestic issues, international issues, solidarity movements, a lot of thought leaders. Come to the conclusion that hip-hop, black people, Muslims, the Middle East, they're all united under fighting back against years of occupations, some which are still ongoing, years of injustice, centuries of brutality, but an even longer shared history of artistic expression and the way it's been used to fight back against all of the negative, all of the problems faced. No matter what, how much it was sort of ethnically cleansed. was never, ever gone. And that it ended up culminating in creating one of the most beautiful art forms in the modern era, which is hip-hop. And the story continues. While some may argue that hip-hop has sort of lost its way in the North American mainstream, international hip-hop is vibrant and as conscious as hip-hop can be. So I leave you to end this with a young boy named MC Abdul from Gaza.
I'm exhausted. Last night I couldn't sleep, but when I did, I could hear bombs in my dreams. Nightmare situation. How could they be so evil, making martyrs out of children and innocent people? We expect the bombs, not knowing where next. Huddle in the corner of my room, trying to protect my little brother as the building shakes like it's possessed. But nothing stronger than the will of the oppressed. I bomb back with my lyrics and rhymes, living the times trying to break the Palestinian minds. What's hiding in the clouds hanging over my head? My dad risks his life outside to buy bread. The fourth war in my 12th year. At this stage I'm numb, though I haven't feel scared. There's nothing I can do in this case to stay safe. I'm brave, even though this house could be in my grave. I want freedom for the population. 2 million prisoners living in this location, shouting at the wall, but nothing is ever changing. That's life under an occupation. I want freedom for the population. 2 million prisoners living in this location, shouting at the wall, but nothing is ever changing. That's life under an occupation. Mothers mourn, fighting with grief. White sheets covered by his dad lie on the streets. Buildings turn to ash, but my mind is made of steel. So it doesn't take much for me to heal. Won't lose the will to live or lose our minds. My auntie lost her home, so she lost her life, but she is still alive, but traumatized by the bombs that flew in and dropped that night. My sister couldn't sleep, tried to stop her cries. I said it was fireworks, I was telling her lies. Where's the compassion? This is heartless. It's like they want us all living in darkness, cutting off water and electricity for hours. They're knocking towers, but that's not knocking the power that I have in my pen. When I'm writing, I'm unstoppable. The microphone is the only escape possible, cause that's the way that I can speak my mind. I wonder how does the fighter pilot sleep at night, knowing he can turn the city upside down all of a sudden, slaughtering families with the push of a button. I want freedom for the population. 2 million prisoners living in this location, shouting at the wall, but nothing is ever changing. That's life under an occupation. I want freedom for the population. 2 million prisoners living in this location, shouting at the wall, but nothing is ever changing. That's life under an occupation.